Today we're going to talk about what makes an oolong tea an oolong and why this tea is so underrated. So as you can see, I've got quite a range of teas here. Let's start with the green, the classic rosy, amber, slightly orange, and then all the way to maroon-ish brick color. All three of these teas, would you believe it? They're all oolong. So what is oolong tea? The most simple definition is that oolong is a partially oxidized tea or semi-oxidized tea. Now, what does that mean, semi-oxidized? If you have on one end of the spectrum completely unoxidized, and then on the other end fully oxidized, oolong is the range in between. In between what? I'm glad you asked. It's in between green tea, and it goes all the way to where black tea begins. It starts where green tea stops, so about 11 or 12% oxidation, like this tea here. So that entire range is the spectrum that oolong tea resides within. Would you believe there's an enormous amount of other variables that play into this category of tea, such as cultivar. Did you know that there are over 40 to 50 cultivars of oolong tea? But if you count the strains and local planting variations, then we're talking more in the neighborhood of 100. That's how many types of oolong tea cultivars there are alone. You also have location, and this means terroir. So if we plant at a lower elevation, a higher elevation, closer to the ocean, in a more arid environment, in a soil content that has a more iron-rich content, such as the Anshi area, there's just an infinite amount of variety that can occur just as a result of terroir. So we've got degree of oxidation, cultivar, and terroir. Now, terroir is a French word. I like to use the word terroir. It's a word that means everything that has to do with the environmental factors that influence a tea. A lot of times with tea or wine, when we talk about terroir, it's because you can taste the specific characteristics of a local piece of land and how that influences the final product. Speaking of the final product, with tea, you also have processing techniques. So we can charcoal roast the tea, we can oven roast the tea, we can tightly roll the tea, we can have it be a twisted leaf. There's an infinite amount of variety in terms of processing practices and the processing techniques. And these techniques are used in a sense to achieve the ultimate outcome, what the tea master is trying to create. How much do they roast it? How long do they let it oxidize? And then what equipment is used? Is it hand-picked? Is it machine-picked? Is it oven roasted? Is it roasted over charcoal? Influence the final outcome of the tea. And lastly, seasonality. Is it a winter harvest? Is it the second winter harvest? Is it an early spring harvest? Is it a spring harvest? Is it a summer harvest? Is it a fall harvest? Every aspect of this influences the final product, which is oolong. We can talk about oolong in terms of the most simple definition as a semi-oxidized tea, but then you have the infinite amount of variety that comes in when we're processing and deciding what the final product is, how it's grown, where it's grown, what the cultivar is, how it's processed, and the seasonality. As we can see, so many variables go into creating a wonderful oolong. Now, why is oolong overlooked for the most part in the US market? It's one of the least understood categories of tea. Back in the early 2000s, when I first started getting into the tea business, I would often visit a coffee shop and notice that they would have one oolong, and it was often called Formosa oolong. Now, the interesting thing is that this Formosa Oolong was never from Formosa, Formosa being the old name for the island of Taiwan. How did I know this? Well, as I had just moved from Taiwan, I had a little bit of expertise in terms of what made an oolong a Formosa oolong and so on. But this was how the tea was marketed, and I believe this was marketed by a larger tea import company in the United States. What happened is, you know, if we unpack Formosa oolong, we have to look at two things: origin and then processing style. Formosa is a style of oolong nowadays. In the people that are talking about oolong that are in the know, this is a style of oolong that what we call bug bitten tea. And Formosa means that it comes from Taiwan. It's usually what we refer to as an Eastern beauty or a Dongfang Meiren, or sometimes we call it a Gui Fei Meiren if it's this style, which is tightly rolled. Now, this tea is more often than not, it's a summer harvest. And at the summer harvest, it has an extraordinary high amount of jacid or the green leaf hopper. Now, what these little bugs do is they bite the tea plant, they bite the leaf, that stresses the plant, and it creates a honey-like flavor. Now, all of this is just one style of oolong. These Formosa oolongs that were for sale in the coffee shops were definitely not that. They were usually a low-grade oolong coming from China or somewhere, and they just didn't have a very high-quality flavor. They were usually dark, roasted, and just not very multidimensional. So that was most people's introduction to oolong tea. And as a result, oolong became known as the kind of dark, roasty, not very exciting category of tea. Now let's talk about the name oolong. U meaning dark and long in Chinese means dragon or snake. So oftentimes we refer to the oolong as a black dragon or a black snake. So yeah, so this black dragon as a name, it doesn't tell us much about what the tea is. It's not like green tea, right? Green tea, we understand the tea is green. White tea, we understand the tea is white. It's actually not. Black tea, we understand the tea is black. It's actually not. It's red. But you get the idea. There's sort of a nondescript word. That's probably another reason why oolong is not well understood and misrepresented in the United States, is the fact that the word oolong doesn't mean much to most Americans. Now that I think about it, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so let's taste some of these teas I brewed earlier today, starting with the green. Light floral, super refreshing, would go well iced or hot. It's just a wonderful tea. That's a green oolong, and that's cultivars called the Four Seasons Like Spring. This is a Gui Fei Meiren. This is summer harvest. Oh, extraordinary honey, super refreshing, crisp, and just has a completely different mouthfeel and flavor than the first one. And here we have a Roguay Rock Oolong. That's more intense. It's more roasty. It's got a slight, really neat cinnamon note to it. And it's got a sort of feeling of cinnamon on the tongue. And it's a really good tea. Completely different. If you tasted these side by side, you would be hard pressed to say what category. It's unfathomable that all three of these teas are within the same category. They come from different locations. These two are from Taiwan. This one's from Wuyi and in mainland China. They have completely different levels of color and completely different flavors and completely different aftertaste. So there you have it. What makes oolong an oolong? A oolong. An oolong. What makes an oolong an oolong? And why do we care? What makes an oolong, and why is it the most overlooked category in the United States? Let's see how long that, because we're going to have to edit some of it out. 14 minutes.